Though the 2025 season didn't go the Rangers wanted, there's still at least 5 things that did go right for the Rangers in 2025.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you guys so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about the 5 things that went right, or I guess 5 of the things that went right for the Texas Rangers in 2025, from the pitching to a couple of hitters to the best defense maybe any team has ever had. Before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. Now, I want to start with the number one thing that went right for the Texas Rangers in 2025, and I can bet you can all guess what I'm going to say. It's the starting rotation. This team had the best ERA amongst any team in all of baseball, and a huge part of that was due to this incredible starting rotation. I mean, just the best rotation in all of baseball, and probably the best rotation I think the Texas Rangers have ever had. As a team, they had a 3.41 ERA amongst their starting pitchers, and they were just so darn good. Every single one of them had their moments of brilliance. Now, they weren't all perfect by any means. I mean, but they all contributed in major ways. And I want to start with Nathan Eovaldi, the leader of this group, the best starting pitcher, I think, in all of baseball this season. I know per inning, he was the best pitcher in all of baseball, but only 130 innings. He will not win the Cy Young. I don't know if he'll finish top 10. I would give him definitely a top 5 vote, because this guy was just flat out incredible. A 1.73 ERA in 22 starts, a complete game shutout at Maddox, one of the best pitch games of the season in that game against the Reds. Just a 1-0 victory, and on 99 pitches, Eovaldi just shut down that Reds team. And this was, I think it was the game after the Rangers got their butts kicked. And Kumar Rocker had a really brutal start against the Reds, and the Rangers were completely blown out. One of the very few times the Rangers were blown out this season. But Eovaldi gets on the hill and does what he does. Get his team back in the win column, shut down, give exactly what his team needs every single time out. I mean, just the progression from Nathan Eovaldi this year, from even last year, where he was really darn good. I mean, he's been great for the Rangers in all of his seasons as a member of the Texas Rangers. The first year of a 3-year, $75 million deal, he absolutely lived up to his end of the bargain. Just wish he could have been a little bit healthier. Maybe the Rangers would have made it to the postseason. We would have gotten to see Nathan Eovaldi in his final form, because with how well he did this year, if you take this version of Nathan Eovaldi and you put him in the postseason, that guy would be downright unhittable. I mean, again, a sub-2 ERA, 11-3. I know pitcher win-loss record doesn't matter all that much, but when you're 11-3 in 22 starts, the fact that he only had 11 wins in his 22 starts is just a testament to what didn't go well. I'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. But this guy was incredible. He didn't walk anybody. He struck out basically a batter per inning. He was limiting hard contact. He was getting great extension. And the curveball found a new level this year. I mean, he had been mostly a 3-pitch pitcher, with the curveball being, 10-ish percent of the time just kind of thrown in there. Occasionally he had a slider that he threw very, very little. He did that again this year. I mean, just 1% of the time he threw the slider, just as another pitch to show right-handed hitters. But the curveball found a new level this year of the effectiveness of being able to throw literally all 4 pitches whenever he wanted, wherever he wanted, to whoever he wanted. And they are all plus to double plus pitches, the splitter, the cutter, the four-seamer, the curveball. They're all incredible, and you never know what's coming in any count. It is truly exceptional. It is a very, very rare thing to have a pitcher be, this heady, this effective with all of his pitches in all counts. That is just something that does not happen. It's why Nathan Eovaldi, I think, is the best pitcher in baseball this year. And then you have Jacob deGrom, who was incredible for the vast majority of the season, struggled a little bit down the stretch, but still made 30 starts at age 37 with a sub-3 ERA, 172 and 2/3 innings. This guy was awesome. He was healthy. He was great for the Rangers all season long. Unfortunately, they just could not get him to the postseason. Just 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games shy, despite having a healthy Jacob deGrom season. Then you have Patrick Corbin, who was signed days before this season started, where he had been the worst starting pitcher in all of baseball for the last 5 years. He had been awful. And the Rangers found something. They found something in Patrick Corbin, and he gave them what they needed. 30 starts, over 150 innings, around a league average-ish ERA plus. It kind of fell off a cliff a little bit in the second half, but still, he provided length and innings because the Rangers were in a tough spot. I mean, they had just lost 2 key members of this rotation. They got either nothing or basically nothing out of both Cody Bradford and John Gray this season, who are supposed to be integral parts of this rotation. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're getting Patrick Corbin here. We've got Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi. Who knows how much we're going to get from Tyler Mahle, who was awesome this season, a 2.18 ERA, still didn't get to 90 innings, only had 16 starts, but he was awesome in the starts that he did make. And the Rangers were like, okay, we got to rely on, deGrom, Evo, Mahle, and I guess we'll get Corbin in here because we've also got a couple rookies, and who knows how much we can rely on them, which the Rangers could rely quite a bit on them. I mean, Jack Leiter, who started the season incredible, went on the IL for about a month, came back, struggled up into that all-star break, and then from the second half on, Jack Leiter was absolutely sensational. Kumar Rocker, both of these guys, I said at the beginning of the season, okay, well, especially with the John Gray and Cody Bradford injuries, I'm like, both of these guys, there was a question if those guys were going to even make the opening day rotation or if they were going to start in AAA. And I thought if everybody was fully healthy and effective, I thought those guys probably should start in AAA because I didn't think either of these guys were ready. And at the beginning of the season, they kind of weren't. But the Rangers were forced into posting these guys every 5th day to make those starts. Rocker, they eventually got enough depth to where they could kind of lessen that workload. And because he had so many inconsistent starts, they ended up putting him in AAA to finish the season. But I mean, you look all the way up and down, and I mean, Merrill Kelly wasn't great, but he had some starts. He made 10 starts for this Ranger squad. Definitely could have used a lot more from him once they traded for him. But Jacob Latz as well. I mean, Jacob Latz was awesome this season. A sub-3 ERA, 8 starts for him, 85 and 2/3 innings. And I think this guy is going to be a starting pitcher on the 2026 Texas Rangers. I think he is going to be not even the 5th starter on this Ranger squad in 2026 because they're going to need him because they're going to be without possibly Tyler Mahle, who's a free agent. Who knows if he'll come back? And John Gray, he's gone. I don't know that he is coming back. And if he is, I don't think he's going to be as a member of this rotation. Who knows how much you can count on Kumar Rocker for innings and his workload next year. Jacob deGrom, they got a fully healthy 30 starts from him this year. Maybe he just does that again next year and has even more innings than 172 and 2/3. You're hoping to get, at this point, I'm kind of hoping for 20 to 25 starts for Eovaldi and hope he's healthy for a postseason run because that's just kind of what he's been the last couple of years. He has not been as healthy. He has been incredibly effective when he is healthy, but still, the Rangers are going to need Jacob Latch. They're going to need all of these guys. Maybe they'll get a little bit of Jose Corniel in the rotation next year, but basically everybody that stepped into this rotation was awesome, at least at times. Heck, even you throw in Sean Armstrong, that one of those 2 starts that he had where he went 3 innings of shutout ball as the opener in a bullpen game. I mean, it's just everybody that was in the starting role contributed to this team winning as many games as it did, and they should have won a lot more because this staff had the best ERA in all of baseball. Now, their ERA plus somehow as an entire staff was only 105. I don't know how this ERA was only 5% better than league average, given all of the things that they went through and all the things that they were able to do. But this was the best starting pitching rotation the Texas Rangers have ever had. Full stop. No questions asked, unless you cobbled together the healthiest version of all of the pitchers in 2023. You have healthy 2023 DeGrom, Evo, then you throw healthy Max Scherzer in there, then you throw a healthy Jordan Montgomery in there, and then whoever you throw in there as a fifth starter, because the Raiders had so many different guys go through so many different things in 2023. But this, for a full season, is the best starting rotation that the Texas Rangers have ever had. Unfortunately, they did waste it, but it was something that went very, very right in 2025. Coming up, we're talking a little bit more about this elite run prevention and one of the stars who did hold up his end of the bargain and hit like a star. All that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you won't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. I'm looking at some of the NBA things they've got to bet on right now. The Mavericks to make the postseason in 2025, 2026, they are minus 104 to make it, minus 128 to miss it. Looking at the awards, unfortunately for Mavs fans, SGA is the favorite to win the MVP this year, to just run it right back. Anthony Davis, tied for the third favorite with Amin Thompson for the Defensive Player of the Year. And yeah, of course, Cooper Flagg is the favorite at minus 195 to win the Rookie of the Year. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Shout out to the everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'll be back and talking about 5 things that did not go right for the Texas Rangers in 2025. And there are more than 5, but I'm going to narrow it down to just 5 things. But today, we are being optimists. It is Monday. We are starting our Monday off right with some optimism about the 2025 Texas Rangers, more just like how things move forward. But the second thing that went right for the Texas Rangers in 2025 was Corey freaking Seager. This guy was exactly what the Rangers needed him to be. I don't know. I do know how he wasn't an all-star, but this guy finishes with 6.1 baseball reference for the second highest total of any season in his career. The only season higher was 7.2 back in 2023, where he finished second in MVP voting, and the Rangers won a World Series championship. He didn't win the regular season MVP. He did win the World Series MVP, and he was downright phenomenal yet again this year. The third highest on base percentage that he has ever had in a full season of work. Fourth highest. Goodness, I forgot that he had 2 different seasons with an on base over 390. But this year, a 373 on base percentage. He was fantastic defensively. Offensively, it took him a minute to find his stride. I mean, the first couple of months, he was, hitting, but not hitting like Corey Seager. I mean, the home runs, kind of went away a little bit for a short time, and then, of course, come back in bunches like they do. But the fact that an appendectomy cut his season short, we weren't able to see down the stretch Corey Seager, that I really think could have, maybe not single-handedly, but along with those little rascals that were coming along. I'll talk more about them later on in this week, not on today's show, though. But I really think if Corey Seager was healthy, this Texas Rangers team is in the postseason, and they are knocking down the doors of everybody, getting some of these other guys back. But unfortunately, that losing streak kept Corey Seager from, hurrying back, because by that point, the Rangers were already out of it by the time he could actually get back and make an impact. But this guy just hit like Corey Seager that we have come to know and expect. For his 162 game pace, he hit 21 home runs on the season. He had a 6.1 baseball reference for a season. You multiply that out, that's just 102 games. You multiply that out to what a full season of that would have looked like. That is a 9.7 B-WAR pace and 33 home runs, which is about what he had done. That's what he had done 2 of his 3 seasons in Texas. This is the first year as a member of the Texas Rangers he has not hit 30 home runs or more. He hit 33 his first year here. That was a career high. Tied that up the next year. Hit 30 last year in 123 games. And then this year, just 102 games. The healthiest he has been was that first season. And health is a big factor with Corey Seager. I think it's a big reason why the Dodgers we're okay with not signing him to a 10-year, $325 million deal. I am very glad that the Texas Rangers were that team that said, hey, yeah, we'll take Corey Seager. We'll take this elite hitting at the time 28-year-old shortstop that has a World Series MVP already and has been a postseason hero and has just been incredibly consistent and great. And he was that this year. And defensively, just the consistency that he brought this year. I mean, 4 outs above average, which was in the 86th percentile defensively. I mean, just what he was defensively this year. I mean, he's not going to make Bobby Witt Jr. highlights. He is not going to make, Elvis Andrus jump throw highlights. He's not going to do that, but he's going to make the routine play every single time. He is not going to goof up an easy play ever. And he's going to have a lot more range than you expect for a guy who's listed at 6'3", 215 pounds. The guy's got some range, and he's a thick boy. Like, remembering that play in the outfield where it was a Bermuda Triangle kind of a play. It was Josh Smith, Wyatt Langford, and Corey Seager all going for a ball, and Corey Seager ends up getting it. And Wyatt Langford, the big beefy boy that he is, just straight up bounced off of Corey Seager because he is so incredibly strong. This guy is an incredible player. And while he didn't quite have the home run total or the amount of wins on the season that I think the Texas Rangers expected for themselves, I think he still should end up getting some MVP votes. I think he still was at least all-star caliber this year. And he was not the reason why this offense stunk this year. The number 3 thing that went right for the Texas Rangers in 2025 was their defense. Oh my goodness, this was an absolutely sensational baseball team. The best fielding percentage in Major League Baseball, fewer than 60 errors on the season. As a team, they had 91 defensive runs saved as a team. Let that sink in. 91 runs, basically more than half a run per game better because of how good this team was. That's part of the reason why this starting pitching staff was so good. They are not a high strikeout staff. They did not walk guys, and they did not give up home runs. 1.1 homers per 9 as an entire pitching staff, fewer than 3 walks per 9, about 8.5 Ks per 9, just a little bit less than that. But defensively, this was as good a team as any that we've maybe ever seen. The amount of errors that this team had on the year was 51. 51 errors. Fewer than an error every third game. That's how darn good this team was. I mean, I still cannot believe how great the defense was this year. Corey Seager taking it up a notch. Marcus Semien being an incredible defender at second base, one of the best in baseball. Josh Smith was fantastic basically everywhere he played. I know the metrics don't love him as much as the eye test did, but playing in not quite elite shortstop, but a very good shortstop. I'd say an elite defensive third base. Really good out there in center field whenever he was there. In left field, he was great. At shortstop, at second base, he was very good. Ezekiel Duran was fantastic no matter where he played. I mean, he was one of the top in outs above average at first base alone, and he didn't even play there primarily. He played there. He played second. He played everywhere on the diamond, Zeke Duran, that is, outside of center field, which feels why he didn't even play one game at center field, and catcher, because he did pitch, and he also had a 0 ERA, which led this team. But not to mention Wyatt Langford, his incredible defense. Michael Hellman, in his short amount of time with the Texas Rangers, played incredible defense out there in center field. And as much hate as Adolis Garcia is probably going to get this offseason for his offense, defensively, he was better than he's ever been. I truly think that he should win the Gold Glove in right field. If not for Willie Abreu, who has also been sensational all season long, Adolis has got to be at least a finalist for the right field Gold Glove. And Wyatt Langford, a guy who one outlet, Fangraphs, had him rated as a 30 grade potential future defender the year that he made his big league debut. 30 grade, where that is Big Poppy level of defense. There's no defensive home for you. There's no way you can figure it out. And he was, I'd say, the best defensive left fielder in all of Major League Baseball this year. He was better than Steven Kwan. He was better than anybody else out there in left field. He was also sensational in center field, as was Evan Carter whenever he was playing. I mean, this defense, everywhere you look, was just straight up fantastic. I think the only place that it wasn't fantastic was the catching. And that was mainly because they were so focused on catching the best staff in all of Major League Baseball that the controlling the running game did not go well for this Texas Rangers squad and their catchers. It was not great year for Jonah Heim or Kyle Higashioka throwing out runners. It was very tough to watch there. But I mean, Josh Jung was sensational defensively. Jake Berger at first base was so much better than I think anybody expected. Riley Telez even had some moments out there defensively at first base. And once the Rangers moved on from Leody Taveras, I mean, their outfield defense was, I'd say, one of, if not the best in all of baseball. The only one that might be better is, the Chicago Cubs, who had Kyle Tucker out there in right field, PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong in center field, who was sensational, Ian Happ out there in left field. Maybe the Rangers were not quite as good there, but I mean, all up and down the diamond, this was an incredible defensive team. And also from their pitchers, for the most part, were really darn good defensively. I mean, heck, Jacob deGrom had a 4 DRS. He has 4 defensive runs saved, better than the average player at his position. Tyler Mahle, incredible defender on the mound. Nathan Eovaldi, really darn good defender on the mound. Now, Patrick Corbin was fine. Jack Leiter was not particularly great. There were a couple of runs that he hurt himself with, especially in that Houston game comes to top of mind. Kumar Rocker definitely had some miscues in the field. I think he eventually, both of those guys, both those Vandy boys, I think will eventually be good defensive pitchers. They've got some other things to work on to get better at before that kind of comes to the top of the mind. And I think eventually they will get there. But this is not only the best pitching staff in all of baseball, I think this is the best defense in all of baseball, and 51 errors on the season, 91 defensive runs saved, above average as a team. That is why this team was so competitive for so long, even with an offense that was incredibly frustrating. Coming up, we got 2 more things that went right for the Texas Rangers, including a trio of youngsters and a young pitcher who I had high hopes for, then had no hopes for. And now after this year, my high hopes are back yet again. Talk about who that is and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives, so if you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does all the heavy lifting for you, so you can link your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. Shout out to everybody who's making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On Wednesday's show, I'll be back, and I'll be talking about 5 things that went weird for the Texas Rangers in 2025. We got good today, we got bad tomorrow, and then on Wednesday, we got a little bit of a weird Wednesday to talk about some things that went weirdly in 2025, because there were quite a few of them, and I am not done talking about them just yet. The number 4 thing that went right for the Texas Rangers in 2025 is none other than former minor league pitcher of the year. That's right, Cole Winn, who went incredibly right for the Texas Rangers in 2025. This is a guy who is going to be I'd say at least mid-leverage reliever for the Rangers for the next several years to come. This was a guy who I had completely written off a couple of years ago. I mean, I had just completely written him off after just a couple of years where he wasn't good. He just was not good. He was the Rangers minor league pitcher of the year after an incredible season with Frisco. I mean, truly, he was so darn good with the Frisco Rough Riders back in 2021. He had a 2.31 ERA in 19 games started there. He had, 11 strikeouts per 9, just 3 walks per 9, and he was just crushing it there. And then he went to Round Rock, and he did not crush it quite as much. It just kind of lost his command. He lost the stuff. He lost the feel for whatever he was doing. And he looked like a guy who was just going to flame out at AA, or I guess at AAA, because he had made it to AAA at that point. He was giving up an obscene amount of walks, an obscene amount of home runs. And I thought, okay, well, that stinks. I had a lot of high hopes for former first round pick Cole Winn. And then 2024 came around and he was doing, pretty well in Round Rock on the season, a 3.5 ERA. And I thought, okay, well, that's nice for Cole Winn to get some bounce back, to, do some nice things in Round Rock, but he's not going to be a big leaguer. And then he became a big leaguer. And then he had 7 straight scoreless outings. And then he started getting hit to crap. And I thought, okay, well, Cole Winn's a big leaguer. He at least made it. I don't think he's going to be back, but good for him that he made it. And then he starts this year with Round Rock with, what was it, 20 something scoreless innings? I think it was 22 scoreless innings straight for him in the minor leagues. And I was asking, oh, is he coming up? Is he coming up? Is he coming up to the big leagues? And I thought, no, he's not striking out a whole lot of guys, even in AAA. He is, of course, limiting the runs, but he's still walking a lot of guys. He's working out of a lot of trouble. And I'm like, if you're walking a lot of guys in AAA, and you're not striking out a lot of guys in AAA, I don't think you're going to get a chance at the big league level. And then he did. And then he continued to not let up runs at all. And I kept on looking at his Baseball Savant page, and I'm thinking, okay, this is surely going to end at some point, right? This is not going to continue. And you look at his Baseball Savant page now, and there's a whole lot of blue on there. He was getting hit hard. He was not getting a whole lot of chases. He was not getting a huge amount of whiffs. He's still walking a lot of guys, getting barreled up, getting hit hard, but he was not allowing runs. Finishes the year in the big leagues with 41 2/3 innings, a 1.51 ERA, just 35 strikeouts, but a whip below 1, walks and hits for innings pitched below 1, and he was effective this year. It was not just effective. He was really good this year, even in some high leverage spots. He only allowed a couple earned runs on the year, 7 to be precise, but allowing just 7 earned runs in an out shy of 42 innings, that's fantastic work for a guy who I think a lot of, Rangers prospect heads had just kind of written off after 2023, after, the midpoint of 2024, where he was still, not blowing guys away in AAA. But the fact that the Rangers have that Cole Winn has made something out of himself, has, resurrected himself from the doldrums of where he was in 2022 and 2023. I am so incredibly happy for this kid. And I think he's going to be, maybe he's not going to be the Rangers closer next year. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's plan A, but he's going to be a part of this bullpen. He's going to be a pretty decent sized part of this bullpen, a homegrown, good reliever, which the Rangers have not had in quite some time, since they had a couple of seasons of pretty good Jonathan Hernandez and a couple of decent seasons from Jose Leclerc. It has been a rare thing for the Rangers to be able to develop homegrown nasty relievers. And while I wouldn't qualify Cole Winn as nasty, he is good. And that is more important sometimes than being nasty. Now, the number 5 thing that went right for the Texas Rangers in 2025 is the young pair of very highly touted prospects, the outfield of the future for the Texas Rangers, at least when they were on the field. That's Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford. These 2 youngsters combined for over 7 WAR on the season. They combined for just shy of 200 games, 3 games shy of 200 games. And they were awesome when they were playing. Now, they both suffered some injuries. Wyatt Langford only played 134 games this season, dealt with a couple of oblique issues that one ended his season early. One of them kept him out for about a month. So he missed about 28 games on the season. Would have loved to have seen a full season from Wyatt Langford. Alas, that was not happening. And Evan Carter, who started the season off in a terrible way. I mean, truly, I had never seen Evan Carter look worse, look more lost than he did in spring training this year. And heck, even watching him in AAA, it was rough. I mean, the guy was lost physically, mentally. He was in a terrible place, and he brought himself out of it. And he has seemingly fixed the chronic back issues. I'll talk more about the injuries later. But when Evan Carter was on the field in 63 games, a 1.9 baseball reference for a season, a 336 on base, he had 5 homers in that span. He had 14 stolen bases in 63 games. He played elite defense in center field. He hit lefties okay. He had competitive plate appearances against them. He was able to work some walks against them, able to bloop out a couple of singles the opposite field, and just have competitive enough at-bats against lefties. Didn't have a whole lot of plate appearances against those lefties. Still hasn't, and I think eventually he will get there. But Evan Carter was good this year. At the early part of this season, I thought, oh boy, Evan Carter could be a cautionary tale. He could be, I mean, there was a lot of comps to Grady Sizemore, who had back injuries completely derail his career, but at least Grady Sizemore had, 4 or 5 seasons in the big leagues where he was awesome. Evan Carter at that point had a run to win a championship in 2023, had a really bad and inconsistent and hurt 2024. And then he came into camp in 2025 and he just could not hit. I mean, he looked way out of sorts, both physically and mentally. He reworked his stance a little bit. He was able to, I think, for the most part, mitigate those back issues. I'm not as concerned. I'm not, deeply, deeply troubled by Evan Carter's back issues. Yes, that he did miss the final 6 weeks, 7 weeks of the season, but that's a freak injury. That's a hit by pitch. Anybody gets hit in their wrist like that from a pitch like that as a lefty against a lefty, you're going to get your wrist broken. There's not a whole lot you can do outside of, drink milk every single day and strengthen your bones to avoid that. But Evan Carter was straight up good this year. And in early April to, about May, even before he came back up, I thought, I don't know how much you can count on Evan Carter moving forward in the future as a part of the 2026 and beyond Texas Rangers. And that's not the case anymore. Evan Carter, I think, is just straight up good. And Wyatt Langford finishes the year, despite missing 28 games, with over a 5.5 WAR season at age 23. The man was just drafted in 2023. And he is already putting up 5.5 WAR seasons. He wasn't an all-star this year. I think he was, I'd say he's on the cusp, a 2020 season, 22 homers, 22 stolen bases, playing exceptional defense out there in left field and in center field, walking at an elite rate. Definitely has some things he still needs to work on. Not one of the best hitters in all of baseball, but the future is there. You can see the future of being one of the best players in all of baseball for Wyatt Langford. And Evan Carter, while I don't think I know the ceiling is not nearly as high for Evan Carter as it is with Wyatt Langford, there was a reason before the 2023 season I had Evan Carter as a higher ranked prospect than Wyatt Langford. I was wrong on that. I am fully willing to admit it's pretty easy to admit that I was wrong about that. But it's because at that point, Evan Carter's ceiling was his floor was a lot higher. He's a guy who's going to, work walks. He knows the strike zone incredibly well. He is fast. He is a good defender. And those things don't slump. Now with Wyatt, we hadn't quite seen where his home was defensively. We knew he was fast. I didn't know he was that fast. I knew he was strong. I didn't know he was that strong. And I didn't know how fast he would be able to progress as a hitter at the big league level. He's progressed pretty darn fast, and he's got a lot more power than Evan Carter does. But both of these guys are key cornerstones for the Texas Rangers for years to come. Both of them are still pre-arbitration players, and both of them are borderline all-star, if not all-star caliber players, when you break them out across a 162-game season pace. That's how darn good these guys are. And with how far Evan Carter brought himself up from where he was to start this year, and with where Wyatt Langford finished this year after a great start and then a really tough month of May and June, to get back up to win this, to end this season with a 5.5 baseball reference WAR is an incredible testament to these young kids' progress, who they are still so incredibly young. I mean, Evan Carter's going to be 23 next year. Wyatt Langford's going to be 24. These guys are so darn good, so advanced for their age. And although a lot did not go right for the Texas Rangers in 2025, these young kids, their future is more than all right. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.